In the spring of 27, a young British teacher embarked on an adventure that would ultimately end in tragedy and captivate the attention of the world. Lindsay Hawker, a vibrant and ambitious woman, left her home in England to teach English in Japan, immersing herself in a new culture and embracing the excitement of a foreign land. Little did she know that her journey would take an unexpected turn, thrusting her into the heart of a haunting mystery that would leave an indelible mark on the annals of international true crime. Lindsay Hawker's tale is one that echoes both the joys of discovery and the darkness of the human soul. Born on a crisp November day in 1984 in the modest town of Brandon, Coventry, Lindsay's childhood remains veiled in relative obscurity. It is through the lens of her tragic disappearance that we catch a glimpse of her extraordinary spirit, her boundless curiosity, and the immense potential that she carried within. Like many young graduates, Lind was drawn to the allure of adventure and cultural exchange. Armed with a degree in biology and sports science from Coventry University, she set her sights on a teaching career, envisioning a world where she could make a positive impact on young minds. Japan, a nation known for its rich history and fascination with English language education, seemed like the perfect destination to embark on her professional journey. Today, I have the most tangled case that kept the Tokyo police searching for a man for almost 2.5 years who changed his disguise and disappeared for a long time after murdering Lindsay Hawker. So the case will take us to the birthplace of Lindsay Hawker, who was born in Warwickshire, England, and lived with her parents Bill and Julia and her 2 sisters. She was known for her boundless enthusiasm for life, with boundless love for life, where she would take up every chance to grow as a successful and useful citizen. In that pursuit, she continued her studies in the county of Warwickshire and received her degree in biology soon after she took up the job in the more incredible metropolis of Tokyo, one of the planet's mega cities hit by many earthquakes and disasters. The city refused to kneel before nature and prevailed in its existence, each year getting more potent than before. Every person has their dream and wishes that they struggle and work hard to achieve them. She has the same ambitions and wishes Lindsay has, but her misfortune prevents her from enjoying her 22 years old. Lindsay planned ahead of her arrival in Japan about the world tour with her boyfriend Ryan Garide. Ryan decided to join later, while Lindsay would give joining at her job in Tokyo earlier in the year. In 27, they marked the summer vacation to meet again and begin their journey around the globe. Until then, Lindsay would settle down at her new job as an English teacher in England. Lindsay landed a job at one of the largest Nova Institute's Tokyo branches, well known for teaching English and a prominent name in private schools. Lindsay embraced the new city, leaving her beloved family behind in Warwickshire, assuring them that she would be safe living in the largest city of Tokyo, which is well known for welcoming many tourists. And she shared with the family that she has made many new friends. On the morning of March 24th, she packed her bag with her teaching materials and said goodbye to her roommates and left the apartment on her bike. But she never came back. The staff of the Nova School contacted Lindsay's father and told him that she had failed to show up for her classes for the last 2 days. On March 26th, her roommates called the police and reported Lindsay missing, but the message was not forwarded to the right authorities. Soon after that, Bill Hawker, her father, booked a ticket and went to Tokyo to find his missing daughter. Lindsay was a responsible girl, and not reaching the apartment for 2 days was not her style. Further, she has no contact with her father and boyfriend, which makes everyone worried about her. At Lindsay's apartment, officers tried to piece together Lindsay's last movements. Both her roommates and her boyfriend Ryan had vital information to share. 4 days earlier, on March 22nd, Lindsay used to take the train to travel from work to home on such a regular day. On March 22nd, 27, she was traveling to school when a stranger approached her, and their conversation led to the exchange of information about their professions. In that meeting, Tatsuya Ikihashi asked her for a favor. He wants to learn English because he has decided to go abroad for higher education. Tatsuya falsely claimed that Lindsay was her former teacher who had taught him English before, but as Lindsay remembered each student by face, she failed to recognize Tatsuya's face as her student. Something clicks in her mind, but she ignores it. It would be best if she didn't overlook his lie, and she would be leading a peaceful life. Even then, Tatsuya hid his identity and used this tactic to invade Lindsay's life. That strategy worked, and cunning Lindsay was invited to visit her apartment anytime after school. Tatsuya, as a professor, never expected students that they would trap her, and she is too naive to apprehend this true color. Obviously, if someone wants to capture the Pray he wins her trust. The same thing Tatsuya did to her. Tatsuya came to Lindsay's apartment, which she shared with the roommate. They welcomed him to their apartment, and in that very first meeting, Tatsuya made Lindsay's sketch that he presented to him with his signature and name. On it, the sketch contained Tatsuya's phone number and an email as well. Now the question is, who was Tatsuya Ikihashi? Tatsuya had no financial strains. His parents made enough money that allows Tatsuya to live a lavish life. Both parents earned well to support Tatsuya, as his mother was a dentist and his father was a brain surgeon. Tatsuya Ikihashi graduated from Chiba University and majored in horticulture. It is thought that Tatsuya indulged himself in small crimes and aggressive social behavior as he was free from the perils of a conventional job and the responsibility to earn and pay one's bills. Therefore, it would be best if a criminal should face the penalty for his first wrong action. Besides being financially stable, he was reported for assaulting women in the street and trying to rob her. Later in the sequence of events, another woman reported him as he was spotted stalking her, for which he received a formal warning from the local police. But at the same time, Tatsuya was in a relationship with his girlfriend, who did not report any violence or anger in his behavior. Instead of that, she stated that Tatsuya was a stable and serious man. According to her girlfriend, she has secured her boyfriend, but in reality, she has tossed him into the depth of darkness. His second obsession was his physical fitness. As he was spending hours in the gym, he took his fitness too far that his mental health started deteriorating. In the meantime, he was developing a fixation on a random stranger, a stunningly beautiful and strong personality that came to Tokyo as an English language teacher from the UK. Lindsay Hawker in a psychological disorder. Man has located his prey and will not spare her at any cost to capture her in the clutches of death. He needs a foolproof plan, and he is acting upon it. Police started the investigation by looking into the CCTV where Lindsay went on March 25th. She was spotted sitting in a cafe with Tatsuya Ikihashi. They ordered drinks, and police noticed an uneasiness in their behavior of Lindsay. She appeared uncomfortable on the CCTV. They sat in the cafe for almost 50 minutes, and Lindsay gave Tatsuya an English lesson. After the lesson, they got in a taxi together and left for the home. Tatsuya first, upon reaching there, the CCTV around Ikihashi apartment showed that the taxi stopped in front of his apartment, and he used the excuse of having no money to lure Lindsay to his apartment. In that conflict, she left the taxi and got into the apartment with him. While Lindsay asked the taxi driver to wait for her, she went inside with Ikihashi, but when she did not return, the taxi driver kept waiting and left. After 7 minutes, Lindsay never came out of his apartment. On March 25th, before her disappearance, the taxi driver was the last person who saw her alive. Her possessions were found strewn across the room. Nova reported Lindsay Hawker missing at 2:30 p.m. on March 26th. After she failed to teach her scheduled classes, Lindsay Hawker's friends had tried to contact the police, but the message needed to be conveyed to the proper authorities within the department. 2 officers were dispatched. They reached Ikihashi apartment at 5:40 p.m., but were only permitted to knock with proper cause. The officers noticed somebody in the apartment. Even though no light was visible, they had been told of the previous allegation against Ikihashi, and the officers called for backup at 700 p.m. Within the next hour, 7 more officers arrived. 9 police officers gathered outside Tatsuya Ikihashi residence to arrest him after learning of the evidence linking him to Lindsay's disappearance. However, he was informed that police were encircling him in the interim because he was the prime suspect in Lindsay's abrupt disappearance. Tatsuya was making plans to leave the small group of police officers. He is cunning and knows very well how to escape. He left his residence without his shoes and simply carrying a backpack. One of the officers caught him by putting his hand on Tatsuya backpack. Officers did not communicate with each other as they had no radio to any of the officers and hence could not alert the officer on the 4th floor. Tatsuya distracted the officers by jumping the last few feet off the stairways and landing on the ground. This place knows Tatsuya and knows how to flee from the clutches of police officers. He has already made plans to get rid of this situation that is beyond the imagination of the police kept searching to detect where he went, but he fled before police could even reach him. Far from their range, the police entered Tatsuya's apartment and searched for Lindsay. Aftermath. Hawker, her possessions were found strewn across the apartment. It reveals what had happened to her and how much pain she had suffered before death. As expected, they found the naked dead body of Lindsay Hawker, her body was found in the Tatsuya bathtub, where he buried Lindsay in a mixture of compost soil and sand. Tatsuya placed the bathtub in the open to prevent the corpse from rotting. Police found it on the balcony of Tatsuya home. It seems that Tatsuya buried her in the soil and sand mixture in the bathtub quickly, because as police arrived, they found a small white hand protruding from the mixture. In a sad sequence of events during the investigation, a neighbor two testified that they had heard the heavy sound of something striking metal and something being dragged, but they did not report or intervene. Maybe the neighbor played their role before by doubting him and she would survive, but it has been done and nothing can save her now. Her dreams are buried as her body is under the ground. The investigation ensued following the horrendous facts that Lindsay's body had been gagged with a scarf that suffocated her, and afterward his hands and feet were tightly tied with gardening ties. Tatsuya conducted the murder in a way that satisfied his hunger for violence, a narcotic of brutality he had put her through while she had been shaved, and her hair was found in a plastic bag. Separately, he has crossed all the boundaries of ruthless torture on her. Upon detailed examination of Lindsay's body, the forensic report stated that her upper body was bruised and had blue marks on her upper limb, indicating that she had been subjected to a prolonged attack. At the same time, the bigger egg-sized marks revealed that Lindsay that bruises were inflicted by fists, unlike other marks on her upper body that were injured by different things. They detected other marks on the upper body from collisions with furniture, all pointed toward the fact that Lindsay was undergone the worst torture before the murder. He'd her to his lust and then murdered her to hide his crime. What was later found was that Lindsay resisted the torture and tried to flee because she and Tetsuya both knew martial arts, but Lindsay was not as good as Tetsuya, a more experienced and skilled fighter, having achieved the level of black belt even though Lindsay resisted and fought him bravely, but after initial attempts she gave up before Tetsuya's immense power and ruthless attacks. What ensued in the aftermath of the events is precise like what we see in violent mangas. Tetsuya strangled her and broke the cartilage in her neck, which suffocated her and became the cause of Lindsay's death. This psycho killed her, put her family in utmost agony, and lost their treasure only for his enjoyment. Until then, Lindsay's parents waited for any information from the police, as they never expected to hear the news of their daughter's death. Then on March 27th, Lindsay's parents received a call informing them that a body had been found. After that, Lindsay's father, who had already booked a flight to Tokyo to go in search for his daughter, was now flying to identify a dead body suspected to be the body of his beloved and talented daughter. Only a father can imagine how this father has undergone the pain of watching her daughter in this condition. His heart bursts into tears and he wants to take justice for his innocent daughter. After identifying his daughter's body, it was Lindsay's father, Bill Howard's statement to the media: "When I saw her, I knew it was Lindsay. She was my daughter, so tall and beautiful, but she was beaten badly. My life and my soul just fell beneath me." Tetsuya managed to flee. Police began the dedicated search operation to find Lindsay's murderer, distributing 30,000 posters of Tetsuya throughout the country. At the beginning of the year 2008, a police investigation leads them to find Tatsu's sightings in different areas of Kabukicho. The territory is majorly populated with gays. Some of his male sexual partners identified his picture and confirmed his presence. However, afterward, the investigation did not proceed much further that year. By the end of October, 180 police officers were appointed to the Hawker murder case. Soon after, when police found no clue, police suggested that Tetsuya had committed suicide. However, Lindy's father called this a tactic to end the search operation for his daughter's murderer. He who is suffering can let this bastard go. That's why he knows his tactics and motivates the police to do something. He can't see the criminal move freely on the earth. After killing his daughter, the reports speculated that Tetsuya continued changing his locations, and according to an article in Japan Today published on January 15th, Tetsuya escaped to the Philippines. Hawker's family made sure that the operation should continue, and they launched a website where they requested the public to help them determine the whereabouts of Taya. Police released life-size cutouts of Tetsuya to raise awareness and help people identify him. On June 26, 2009, the Japanese police announced the rise of rewards for the information that would help them reach Tetsuya, from 1 million yen to 10 million yen. Later that year, following the announcement of the rise in rewards, several sources reported Ikihashi presence which would lead the police to arrest him to flee the widened police operation Tatsuya altered his appearance with cosmetic surgery, and he succeeded in his attempt to evade arrest. In his evil mind, there are so many ideas that changing his appearance is not a big deal for him. To make his appearance unidentifiable by the local cops, Tatsuya tried to hide his face using sunglasses and covered his face under a hat, but he knows that this is not enough to save him. His big problem was that he lived without money, but even then Tatsuya did not contact any of his family members at that time. Facial plastic surgery is well known for facial reconstruction restoration, an alteration of human facial features. Tatsuya performed that on his face to disguise his facial plastic surgery identity. He knows that if he goes with this face, then the police will capture him. That's why he chooses to disfigure his face without money. He sliced the mole off his left cheek using a cutter box that did not make much difference, and then he continued to perform more surgeries to make a profound difference in his facial features. This time Tatsuya cut off his lower lip to make it look thinner. He remained unsuccessful in his first attempt due to unbearable pain, but then he completed chopping his lip a few days later in a public bathroom to complete the work by an expert surgeon. Tatsuya needed money that he did not have, therefore after cutting his nose he bound it up with a needle and thread to make it look thinner. Now for plastic surgery he started searching for work that would give him enough money to pay the fees of a plastic surgeon. He managed to get a job with a construction company by registering himself as a dead person in that construction company job in Osaka. Tatsuya saved 1 million yen and spent to conduct 2 plastic surgeries. Police disclosed that he had undergone his first plastic surgery on October 24th at a clinic in Inju, where he had uplifted his nose. In the later surgeries, he removed 2 moles off his face and a fold to his eyelid. Now Tatsuya had lifted his nose, removed the moles, and made his lips thinner during the surgeries. Police released his picture to the media immediately before his latest surgery on November 10th, 2009, 2 years after the murder of English school teacher Lindsay. Police captured Tatsuya Ikihashi in Osaka after receiving a call from an unknown informant reporting a man resembling the latest released picture of Tatsuya on the ferry terminal. He was trying to leave the city and get on a ferry to Okinawa. Concerning the investigation, officer rushed to the scene and arrested Tatsuya Ikihashi in Osaka's Suoi ward after finally reaching the most wanted criminal in history. The Japan National Police Agency took him to the police station and released in the media the arrest of the suspected murderer in the case of Lindsay Hawker after taking his fingerprints and confirming that the person was Tatsuya Ikihashi, the construction company in the plastic surgeries clinic helped the police reach him, however, in the distribution of the prize money of 10 million yen. Not only them, but several informants helped in his arrest, so how the reward would be distributed was questioned following his arrest, but then the rewards were shared among a cosmetic surgery clinic in Nagoya, an employee of the construction company where Tatsuya had worked initially. After the arrest, Ikihashi did not confess to the crime, and the police kept him in custody for 23 days with the charges of abandoning a body and served with 2 more charges of rape and murder. Despite admitting to raping and killing her, 32-year-old Ikihashi claimed he never intended to kill her. However, the Chiba District Court concluded that the ex-horticulture major had murderous intentions when he pressed down on the victim's neck. According to the Tatsuya lawyer, he was threatened with a death sentence if talk, and his silence corresponded to fatigue and stress. Later during his trial on December 23rd, Tatsuya admitted that he murdered Lindsay Hawker, but he did not intend to kill her. Seeing that Lindsay is about to die, he tries to resurrect her too. Finally, in court, Tatsuya Ikihashi confessed that he accidentally suffocated Lindsay when he tried to her to prevent her from screaming for help while he ride her. It is extremely rare in Japan, in court, that someone gets a death sentence in the trials. Therefore, the prosecution sought a life sentence. During sentencing, Tatsuya knelt before the judges and apologized by saying, "I did not intend to kill her, but I'm responsible for her death. I'm very sorry for what I did." Lindsay's father's statement to the media after Ikihashi arrest: "I want to thank everyone in Japan who looked at the television and the newspaper and watched for Ikihashi to come here. Lindsay loved the children of Japan. I now feel as if Japan has not let her down." Lindsay's family had requested that the court show no mercy and give them the death penalty, but it is extremely rare in Japan to impose the death penalty for Killing only one person, also Ikihashi had no previous convictions, and judges stated that he had no previous crime, and he is only 32, therefore there is a good chance of his rehabilitation. On July 21st, 2011, Tatsuya was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Lindsay Hawker. Tatsuya Ikihashi wrote a book, Until I Was Arrested, to tell his side of the story. He offered Lindsay's family any royalties that the book might earn. The family rejected his offer after the verdict. Bill Hawker told reporters, "We have waited 4.5 years to get justice for Lindsay, and we have achieved that today. We are very pleased." Tatsuya Ikihashi was found guilty of murdering Lindsay Hawker, a resident of Brandon, Warshire, in 2011, and sentenced to life in prison. That's all. From my side, remember to like and subscribe to our video if you have learned something new. Also share your views about this case. We will return with a new case for you. Thanks for watching.